Luka Doncic just did it again. 73 points against the team that traded him away on draft day. It didn't matter who or what the Hawks threw at him, the complete control and mastery of the game was just on another level. It all started with a pick and roll between Luka and Lively. Capella's gonna sit back in a deep drop while Jalen Johnson chases Luka over the screen, giving him the in-between space to work with. He puts Johnson in jail and works his way to the opposite side of the lane for two. A couple minutes later, they went right back to it, his defender chasing him from behind, the big dropping to the paint, but this time he's going to use that space to threaten a drive before stepping back into a mid-range jumper. So next time he uses a ball screen, his man's going to go under to avoid being put in jail, and Luka sees this, then decides to use the screen again. Johnson gets caught on the roller, triggering a late switch, and Luka's got some room to step back for a three. Clearly, these softer coverages weren't working, and on this one, you're going to see the Hawks put two on him all the way out at half court. But all that does is leave Dallas with a 4-on-3 advantage, and it's an easy 2 for Richaun Holmes. You'll see him cause the same sort of defensive problems when playing off of movement, more specifically the handoff game. His defender gets caught chasing from behind, and he just slow walks his way down the paint to set up a little fading floater. So next time the Hawks try to close that space right away by switching, but Lively slips and Luka places a perfect pass for an easy finish. A few minutes later they ran it again. Now Atlanta's putting two on Luka. Again, he's hitting Lively on a roll, who doesn't finish the first time but cleans up for a dunk. In addition to a more traditional two-man game, whether that's pick and rolls or handoffs, Luka was relentlessly attacking Trae Young. Trae's man is going to be the one setting a screen, and you obviously can't give up that switch, so it's almost always a hedge and recover. Notice how Bey is recovering from Luka's left hip, and he uses that to his advantage by attacking left, creating some space to step back for another three. Here it is again. He waits for Trae to leave the coverage before starting his attack, this time driving baseline and sidestepping into an incredibly tough jumper. And on this one, the Mavs are going to set up with two screens, the first to get Trae in that hedge, a second from the big, but they seem to have forgotten that Luka's also a threat to reject the action and start on a drive left, now with nobody back to protect the rim. Those types of plays speak to the fact that against a guy like Luka, your coverage has to be executed to near perfection. Trae jumps out like he's supposed to, but doesn't close the space in the middle, so Luka's able to easily split it on a drive, getting all the way to the paint for a pair of free throws. And even when the coverage is executed, you're still almost always giving up an advantage. Luka waits for the 4-on-3 before passing, and that's some real easy offense for Grant Williams. This isn't just a Trae Young problem though. Luka will hunt for any small guard or weak defender like this. On this one, it's supposed to be Garrison Matthews, but he seems to have forgotten his assignment and leaves Luka with room to turn the corner. Then when two wings collapse in on him up top, he uses his length to stride right in between them while finishing through contact for a chance at three. And here's one where it's Patty Mills in the place of Trae. Bey goes under the screen while Mills jumps out, so Luka just waits for the space to clear so that he can pull up for a three. It also isn't just guards. He'll hunt for bigs just as ruthlessly, using a high ball screen to get the Capella switch, only for a second screen to come from Trae's man, allowing him to attack two mismatches in a span of like 5 seconds. Typically when he gets a big on him though, they're gonna clear out so he can go to work one-on-one. This time it's a Kongwu, and he has no trouble at all getting by his hip before showcasing his all-time deceleration to create some separation on a finish. Obviously, bigs aren't quite as quick as who you'd usually see trying to defend Luka, and as soon as they start to overplay his drive, or even sit back just a foot, he's stepping back into more offense from behind the arc. With that said, guard, wing, big, it doesn't really matter. There isn't anyone who can guard Luka in isolation. His primary matchup in this one was Jalen Johnson, a physical specimen, and it just didn't matter. He gets by his hip on a drive, gets to the rim before slamming the brakes and spinning back, just creating an absurd amount of space before finishing. That ability to just stop on a dime makes him nearly impossible to stick with when he's attacking downhill. Johnson's right in his grill every step of the way, but with one of those slow, hanging floaters, by the time he's releasing, it's a relatively open shot. Here's another example. In early offense, he attacks the middle, but with a second defender waiting, he looks him off before continuing his drive, only to immediately stop. That creates a good 3 feet of space, and now he's got himself an easy midi. This one also starts in early offense, and he appears to be attacking the middle again, except to set up a step back 3. Johnson smothers him, but it doesn't matter. Another guy who spent some time defending Luka was Saddiq Bey. All it takes is one hesitation and he's got that step before kissing it off the glass with some soft touch. This time it looks like they're starting with the pick and roll, but Holmes doesn't set it, leaving Luka with a ton of room to isolate, and he just works his way to the baseline for another really tough mid-range J. At one point, the Hawks even tried throwing Bogdanovic on him, again starting with that decoy ball screen, while Luka throws a hanging hesitation dribble. Bogey sits back, thinking he's about to drive, so he pulls back into a 3, and all he needs is a glimpse of the rim. Now feels like a good time to mention that he shot 8 of 13 from 3 in this game, and anyone who's had hot shooting nights knows that when you're feeling it, you'll just look for any way to get a clean look. Like, Luka usually isn't a guy who's gonna move much without the ball, but after kicking it out, he immediately relocates to that 3-point line to get it back and quickly fire off a jumper. Or on this one, Exum's initiating, and Luka decides to set a pick and pop like he's Porzingis, this time getting probably his most open 3 of the night. He was attacking the defense in seemingly every way imaginable. You've got the isolations against anyone, the high pick and roll or handoff game, attacking Atlanta's weaker links to create advantages, and the guy couldn't miss, utilizing all 3 levels at absurd accuracy. That helped him get to 57 in 3 quarters and 8 in the first 2 minutes of the 4th, meaning he had 65 points with 10 minutes remaining. From there, the Hawks finally adjusted their defense and basically said, yeah, we're okay with anyone scoring, touching the ball in space, anyone but this guy. It started with this play. It looks like Lively's coming up to set a high screen, but DeJounte comes over from 1 pass away to trap him at half court, and all he needs to do is make a very basic read to put the defense in rotation and create a wide open corner 3. The Mavs tried to get him some space by running him off a couple screens, but the Hawks of course just kept 2 on the ball at all times. Still, he's able to work his way to the paint and throws one of the craziest passes I've ever seen to Hardaway up top, who fails to convert on a highlight. Thankfully, he'd have a chance to redeem himself on the next play. It again starts with Luka drawing 2 out near half court and making a simple pass to the wing, where one more extra find leaves Hardaway with a warm-up jumper, this time converting. This was the ultimate pick your poison performance. The guy's on the verge of 70 points, but the moment you start to throw some extra attention his way, he's making passes like this, although they catch a break with another Hardaway miss. Still, he had some more scoring to do, and with the way they were guarding him, it had to come in transition. He drives it right down the middle and finishes through contact for 2 plus a foul. Then with a minute to go, he sets up one of those high ball screens, draws 2 defenders 40 feet away from the basket, only to split right between them before losing a 3rd defender with some lengthy strides, and there it is, 72 with a chance at 73 from the line. He scored the most points in a game since Kobe's 81 18 years ago, while adding 10 rebounds and 7 assists. Even more impressive is the efficiency with which he did it. I mentioned the 8 of 13 from 3, he was 25 of 33 from the field overall and had a true shooting percentage of 91.2, which is the highest ever mark in a 70-point game. Every time we think we've seen it all with this guy, he sets a new standard. I thought the 50 and 15 performance against the Suns, dissecting every covers they threw at him, was about as good as it gets. But 73? That's just stupid. we're looking at a guy who's completely breaking the NBA at age 24 in just his 6th season. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Luka. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.